Guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 146, I believe. Sorry, I didn't look. But we do have a lot to talk about today with only a few weeks to go before the real season begins. We have some news regarding the battle between AI and the AFL coming into the game. We're also going to be taking a look at Origin, of course, the success from Origin over the weekend and what other teams would have looked like from different states. And also, we've got much more news to cover, including injury updates and much more. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs.
He looks at his options, and Jack Ginnivan says, boys, you brought me to the club to do justice!
But this guy has flog written all over him.
From attack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man!
So let's get into the footy news from the week that was. So guys, my brother has joined us today, and Port Adelaide play on Sunday, I believe, or is it Saturday?
Friday night.
They play Friday night on the showdown.
Yeah.
I'll get to an injury update from the Crows in a moment, but how are you feeling about Port Adelaide going into it?
Oh, well, if you're not excited for, well, at least optimistic of what you're going into this year, well, what are you really doing, really?
Yeah.
You got to think that every team should be striving for finals unless you're like Richmond or West Coast and you're wanting to see wins. But for Port Adelaide, yeah, I'm excited to see some of these young kids that have seemed to have had a really good pre-season and
Joe Barry's had some good signs, I've heard, and we've seen a couple of other senior guys who probably want to show some things in new positions.
Yeah, and also with the new coach, new game style, which Josh Carr seems to be trying to implement. So you kind of would just want to see glimpses of that on this Friday.
Yeah. Now, we've only seen one game so far as of recording this on Wednesday afternoon. So I think the Brisbane-Carlton game is going on today. Yeah. But we did see Hawthorn and Geelong on Monday. Geelong had both teams didn't play their full best team, but I would say that Geelong had a lot of players out due to Origin, and there were some issues on both sides. I think Hawthorn got smashed in the midfield from what I've heard. Connor McDonald had a very good game though, so that's going to be an interesting watch. Seems like he could be the Will Day replacement, but not a lot to take out of it for me. So I think that both teams will be contending at the end of the year. Teams will be up there, but Hawthorn, there were a couple of highlights that I saw of them just getting trounced out the middle of the ground, and I think that is going to be their concern this year, Hawthorn. So I don't know. Did you see much of that game at all?
Nah, I didn't. I've only just seen a few highlights, but yeah, it just seems like they put all their eggs in that Merritt basket, and when they didn't get him, they've kind of going to try and find something, and it's still going to be their biggest problem, you think?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've probably downgraded this year because James Warple did leave, Will Day's out. Now they're having to, try and make some moves on the go. So we'll see how that plays out for the Hawks. But they did win that game. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams go this year. But everyone's going to make their assumptions pretty early on. But I mean, it is a match simulation. It's the first time both these teams have had a hit out against an opposition side, of the year. So take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But I don't think Hawthorn fans would have been too impressed by that midfield performance. A couple of highlights that didn't look great, but John Newcombe probably was very good, and Connor McDonald's very exciting to see through the midfield.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of injury updates before we get to our first topic of the episode. So still injury carnage galore here in the AFL. Still, we're only a few weeks away. Every single week we seem to cover 6 or 7 injuries. The biggest one, of course, was Tom Green throughout the week. Ruptured his ACL, will be out for the rest of the season. Sad news. I mean, this guy was, he's their best midfielder. I still think he is, even though Finn Callahan's definitely rising to that point. He's such an important player for the Giants, and now out for the whole campaign.
Yeah, it's not. It's not the best time to do it. Like literally 4 weeks out from the season starting, and like everyone's talking about, they seem to be talking a lot about Clary, like Clayton Oliver coming in, that he needs to step up. I think, to be honest, it needs to be those other players that have been there for 5 or 6 years now. Finn Callahan's and all that need to step up this year.
Well, I think now we've seen how Finn Callahan can perform now. He's had a lot of expectation. He'll have a lot of expectations, and now even heightened even more now that Tom Green's gone down. But you're probably looking for that underbelly of midfielders that need to have a good season now for the Giants, because they can't just rely on Tom Green.
Yeah.
And Clayton Oliver's still going to have a good season now. He's basically have to take that Tom Green role and be that bullocking midfielder that he has shown before. but, he's a bit older. We're going to have to see if he can play that role. Cornelio, it'll be interesting to see how much of a role he gets through that midfield group, especially now. He needs to have a good season because of Tom Green being out as well. And it'll be interesting to see if the Giants throw a couple of young guys through there with the absentee of him, if Toby Green gets a little bit more of a run through there. But that definitely dropped my, predictions of the Giants pretty quickly when I saw that ACL injury to him.
Yeah, I think he's going to be showing because, everyone knows how good of a player he really is, but I think losing such a valuable player this late in pre-season, it's going to show, I think, very early how important he is to that team. It's kind of like when Will Day was in and out the last couple of years of Hawthorn, how valuable he can be and what a different match winner he can be. So I think that, I know that a lot of different attributes, but I think that's the sort of player that Tom Green is to the Giants, that he can change a game.
He's definitely a heart and soul player.
Yeah.
And also Callan Ward retiring. He's another player who could have been able to go through there, but obviously he's not there either. Yeah. So I don't really know what the Giants are going to do with their midfield because Josh Kelly's obviously out. There's a couple of others we'll get to in a moment as well, but a lot of their midfield group that they could have chucked through there from last year are gone or are not or are injured.
I think you're looking at Xavier O'Halloran and players that you're going to have to see a big improvement from Toby Green, the amount of time he's getting in there, because I think last year he was pretty much thrown in there when they needed somebody in instances, but I think he needs to show the captaincy of leading from the front, maybe through the midfield a bit more.
Yeah, maybe a more 50-50 role rather than, just pinch hitting in there when required. He may have to do a bit more. On other injury news as well, staying with the Giants, Toby Bedford will be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a hamstring injury. Finn Callahan also had an injury throughout the week with a hip flexor. He does seem that he'll be okay for opening round. It doesn't look like he'll be ready for the match simulations, the practice matches, and scans have revealed that Sam Taylor suffered a high-grade hamstring injury in Origin. So his timeline is yet to be determined, but he will be missing the opening rounds of the season.
Do you think he wouldn't come back to at least there?
I think they have the bye in round 2, I'm pretty sure, for the Giants. I think they have an early one, but that's tough. And also, considering Lee Kalia probably would have been a good replacement, apparently he has had some concerns and there's no return date at this stage following a surgery that he had in the off-season. So if he's not there, Jack Buckley, he has done, he's definitely been there by himself, a few times, and he's been able to hold that back line. They've got Harry Himmelberg back there, but he's not really a lockdown defender.
I'm looking at Jaden Laverde.
I was about to say, Jaden Laverde obviously just got picked up, but he's not the caliber of a Lee Kalia or a Sam Taylor in my eyes.
Oh, no. When he's playing teammates with Ben Mackay the last couple of seasons, it's a different caliber.
Yeah,
to Sam Taylor.
But he may have to be chucked in the deep end here and play an opening round. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But it's going to be a tough opening round matchup as well because they've got Hawthorn, of course, a lot of really tough key forwards in their team. Going to be hard to stop, but he's going to have to play out of his skin in my eyes. Adelaide, Callum Archie, a little bit of good news. It wasn't a bad hamstring. It was only low grade. So he was taken off the ground in State of Origin as well after experiencing hamstring tightness. The general manager of the Crows, the high performance general manager in Ian McEwen, said the scans confirmed the forward would need to spend a short time on the sidelines, but remained a chance to play in round 1 against Collingwood. So interesting to see if he does play. I would be a little bit surprised. I think that they'll probably let him rest up if there's any concern. I mean, yes, round 1's important, but it's not as important as round 20, especially if you get a really bad hamstring.
You don't want to... Yeah, especially this early in the season. The hamstring, you take the cautious approach and you miss the first 1 or 2 weeks if you have to.
Yeah. Now, Isaac Rankin as well was seen in training today, pulling up short and was grabbing at his hamstring just days before the pre-season showdown. So, very unlikely, I would imagine, that he will be in the team for the Crows.
Nah, you wouldn't risk it.
No. Colby McKercher has undergone minor surgery on his finger, but is expected to play in round 1 against the Power. So that is good news. But I do have a bit of a concern because he has had some issues in years gone, in the last year with his kicking. He wasn't the greatest kick, obviously. But if he's going to have an issue with handling the football early in the year, is that going to that could hamper his kicking if he's not dropping the ball good on his foot. So that would be a bit of a watch there, especially for AFL Fantasy watchers and North Melbourne fans, if there is a concern on Colby McKercher going forward, but not great signs there for him breaking a finger, because before that point, the news around him was very positive.
Yeah.
And then finally, on the little bit of news, Josh Weddle is expected to he has finalised a 4-year contract extension with the Hawks to lock him away until his free agency year of 2030. Now, there has been some speculation in the past, few months that Essendon were offering him a multi-million-dollar deal to move to the Bombers. He's rejected that and staying at Hawthorn. I don't think he was worth upwards of that just yet. The potential was there, but I think overall, not too surprised that he's staying at Hawthorn. I feel like it was going to be yes, I think even Brad Scott made the statement yesterday or the day before saying basically the St Kilda approach of saying that now with clubs, with the draft being so compromised, that teams have to get more creative and, splash for cash to get their players that they want. So that's kind of how Essendon are going to be approaching it going forward. But I'm not too surprised that Josh Weddle's staying at Hawthorn.
Nah, I think for the moment there's no, he's got what he needs at the moment, and that's finals experience and learning from some the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, I think it's probably good. I think it'd be interesting to watch in the next, couple of years how he does develop at Hawthorn. If he does move into a midfield wing role, or if he plays more as that intercept defender. We even saw him play a little bit up forward, so he's definitely a utility that very few clubs have access to.
Yeah. So
I do see why Essendon would have tried to pick him up on that potential, but I am not too. I mean, it probably would have jacked up his price a little bit for the Hawthorn contract anyway. But next we'll move on to a bit of Origin, AFL Origin, which was, from most sides of it, a success.
Yeah.
You were pretty skeptical of it when we first heard it come in.
Yeah, I thought that that they weren't going to really try like most people thought they wouldn't, because it's so close to the season really starting. I thought it would have been better later in the year, but both teams went their hardest, and of course a few injuries have come out from it, which was bound to happen. Yeah. But they both went hard and they both put on a good contest. Yeah, I mean a pretty high scoring game as well. WA probably. Victoria were going to win for the majority of it. They look like the better team. But WA stuck around. Jesse Hogan kept them in the match as well. He's going to be big this year. I thought maybe he had a bit of an injury concern going into the season. He's had a couple of problems, but played Origin and was their best player. Yeah, well, he said that he basically had... he's only been basically at pre-season for the last 4 to 6 weeks because of his surgery. So it was... kicks 5 goals in his first game. Pretty impressive. Yeah, he did make a funny point as well that he's played in Perth for a couple of years and that was his best game in WA. So a little bit of a up yours to Fremantle, but I mean he's having a good run of it now. And I did say that Aaron Cadman was a bit of a smoky for the Coleman this year, but maybe Jesse Hogan goes around and does it again. I mean I know it's obviously one game, but against some of the best defenders in the game, he did perform very well. But looking at a couple of other teams other states that could have a team in the future, there has been some speculation regarding the team who won this year's State of Origin game would play South Australia in next year's. So at the moment, obviously, would be Victoria. But at the moment, if you looked at a team that South Australia would be lining up, I think it would be a pretty hard team to beat. So this is from Zero Hanger. They've kind of put a team together for an SA team. You're looking at a defence that would be very good. I don't think you'd want to go up against this. I mean, it'd be very hard to kick goals against this team. You got Ballard, Brennan Cox, Michael Annie, Nasai Wanganeen Miller, Cal Wilkie, and Connor Rosie. Yes, a couple of those players you wouldn't say are playing in defence, but still, I would be that'd be a pretty tough team to go up against in the defence. You look in the midfield group, you got Will Day, Lockie Neal, Jace Burgoyne, and in the guts you've got Jordan Dawson, George Hewitt, and then Brody Grundy in the ruck. Forward line, you got Will Hayward, Riley Philthorpe, Jason Owen-Francis, Bo McQuarrie, Darcy Fogarty, and Isaac Rankin. On the bench, you got John Noble, Tom Power, Matthias Filippo, Tyson Stengel, and Rory Laird. That's a pretty good team. Basically, yeah. And most of them are in their prime, basically, which is... Yeah, I mean, maybe Jace Burgoyne to be a bit lucky to get in there, but it's very hard. Like, I mean, if that's a team that you're lining up for SA next year against Victoria, I'd give us a good shake. I think it would be, yeah.
I think it'd be a very good game. And then we've got a couple of other teams here. They've also got one with the Allies. This will obviously be a combination between Queensland, New South Wales, and Tasmania. So I think it's a pretty good team too. You got in the defence, you got Nick Blakey, Jack Buckley, Dane Zorko, Cal Mills, Harris Andrews, and Jasper Fletcher. Through the midfield, you've got Colby McKercher, Jacob Hopper, Errol Goulden, Will Ashcroft, Tom Green, and Jared Witzes, the ruckman. Through the forward line, you got Isaac Rankin, Patrick Voss, Zach Bailey, Lockie Schultz, Taylor Walker, and Ben Long. And on the bench, you got Kitty Coleman, Alex Pearce, Jack Payne, Daniel Rioli, and Matt Kennedy. Pretty good team. I mean, I think maybe there should be more. They should be exploring this further. Like, now that you've seen it, do you think they should go ahead with the Origin, or do you think that maybe it's a little bit dangerous compared? Like you saw it, we've seen a lot of injuries throughout this first.
Yeah, I think it's a good concept. I think like you've got one game. I think you pick two teams that you want, and you stick to those two. You don't try and do like a carnival or
so you don't think SA should come in?
No. I mean, like you like next year you put SA against Victoria or someone like that. You don't do like,
so every year it's
someone's
like,
a different matchup. You don't put you don't put a 4-week lead into it, or like a different thing like that, or you play all of them at once. It won't work like that.
I think avoid like also the how the NRL do it. They do 3 games, best of 3. I think just one game each year. I think that's definitely would work.
Yeah.
Get the best of the best, and then because at the end of the day, I don't think we can get it back to what it was on that sort of front of like it was very competitive and that was good, but I think having 3 games like the NRL would just be a bit much throughout the season. And I think now a 1 game, I personally would like it at the end of the regular season, or if we have a week off before the grand final, I think that's the best place for it.
Yeah.
But if they have to have it at the start of the season, then by all means, I think it's not a bad choice. And I was a bit skeptical. I was more happy. I was more, I think, maybe positive about it rather than you. You were a bit negative on it, which, I mean, fair enough. A lot of people were. But now that we've seen it, and it was a positive thing for the game, and the players were competitive, like they were playing to win, I think that gives it the go-ahead going forward. Anyway, let's move on from Origin. I think overall it was a pretty good success. Now, I don't know if you've been following this, but AI versus the AFL or Sam Mitchell in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting.
A lot of people online have probably been very negative against Sam Mitchell's comments regarding him using AI for, issue with stuff with coaching and stuff, while a lot of people in the media are saying that he's like a genius for using it. I don't know if you've been following much online or how much AI has taken over in the past 6 to 12 months. Have you followed much about it?
Not really.
So AI has taken over a lot of stuff in the last 6 to 12 months with online stuff. You're looking at content creation, information online being taken over by a lot of misinformation used by AI. But then there has been positives with it as well, like the tools that you can use in certain jobs like data collection and I think in the medical field as well. A lot of it is very positive. But I personally think that Sam Mitchell's comments about AI, I didn't really like for some aspects of it. I think that the way that the people are saying that like he's using it as a tool to like gather a lot of statistics together and then spit out information regarding opposition teams and what would help him, I think that's great. The problem I have with Sam Mitchell and AI is the fact that he's using it to help him with conversations with players in his team. Like, bro, you're the coach. You shouldn't need to have a prompt from ChatGPT how to talk to your players and how to have a conversation with them. That's where I draw the line. I'm like, AI, I think, is very good for things like, collecting all these sorts of data, like all these statistics around the league, and then spitting out a bunch of information about like who the best teams are and the best attacking teams in the game, the best defensive teams in the game. Being able to combine that all into one program and then be able to spit out a bunch of information that is helpful, I think that's great. But to be able to be asking prompts to ChatGPT about how to talk to people, I think that's you're a coach. You should know how to talk to your players. You shouldn't need prompts from ChatGPT on how to talk to your players properly. Now, some people are like Kane Corns are saying he's an absolute genius for using for using AI, and if people aren't using it, then they're way behind.
Yeah,
I don't really know if that's the case. I think I think most clubs would be stupid to not use AI for things like collecting data and information on that sort of thing. But you don't. If you need an AI chat GPT generator, whatever, to talk to your players, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be the coach. If you need that to talk to your players, you don't need. You shouldn't have the job. A part of your coaching, a part of coaching in my eyes, would be how to interact with the players, how to get the best out of your players, and how to talk to your players, especially nowadays. I think that's especially because it's a different generation. Talking to we don't, even though we saw the the viral clip on the week about Adam Kingsley absolutely ripping paint off the walls in the Giants dressing room, which was probably warranted, by the way. They were playing dismally against the Swans in that game, and they got a response that they needed. But overall, you can't talk to the players like that anymore because it doesn't generate a response. It's more you get a negative response of shutting down.
Yeah.
So I personally think that AI, a lot of it is just not needed, and a lot of it is taking over things that just shouldn't be taking over for. There's so many things now that AI is taken over for that just shouldn't be a thing that it's taking jobs from. A lot of content online now is just just AI generated. I don't know if you've seen videos on Facebook or Instagram or whatever of cats and dogs cuddling each other, which look really weird, or those random videos of did you see that one of Nick Dacos doing a dance or something that looked really fucking weird? That was all AI. But all that sort of content is taking over the internet. So that sort of stuff I don't really like. But things like the data collection and that would be very helpful for clubs. I think it's very good. And you would be stupid not to use it. But to not be able to interact with your players without ChatGPT in your back pocket, talking to them and how to ask questions, I think that's a bit exposing yourself to say, maybe you should be working on that as a coach.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was a very interesting topic that came out throughout the week. I think a lot of people have overblown it to say that if he's using it, you should have an assistant coach do that for you, gather the data rather than have a AI program do it for you. And it's the assistant coach would probably most likely just do the same thing. Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, if the coach asked me, gather all this information and give us the best information we need for who are the best teams in the competition to move the ball from defensive 50 to forward 50, I'm sure there would be the easiest way would be to gather all the information that you have, put it into a program that can spit out the most straightforward information in one go and send it and give me the prompts of what I need to know. That'd be a lot more helpful when it's with stats collection rather than a assistant coach going through a bunch of tables together, recording that all the way down. All that information would take him half a day when it could take him 10 minutes through an AI prompt. But if you're having to have conversations with your players and you can't have that conversation without you're looking at your phone, at an AI generator to have a conversation with you. That's where I think that you should be drawing the line. That's where clubs should be your job is to be the coach of this club. ChatGPT is not the coach. You got to do your job too. Yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I know you didn't really have a lot of information regarding AI and that sort of stuff, but I thought it was quite an interesting topic that was covered over the week, and I think that overall it is a good tool to use, but I don't think it should be taking over the job of a whole coach. Anyway, that's pretty much all of that sort of stuff. So I wanted to take a look at Kane Corns' big calls for 2026. And I wanted to bring back a segment for this year that we did have last year. So last year we called it overreaction / fair call. This year, I think we're going to streamline it a little bit more. We're going to call it our segment Rate It or Hate It. All right. So if you don't see over the week that Kane Corns made his 7 big calls of 2026, I'm going to go through them with you, and we'll see if you rate the call or you hate the call. All right. So first one from Kane Corns was Sam Darcy will kick 12 goals in a game this year.
I hate it.
You don't like it?
No, I don't think he's going to do it. I think Kane Corns is literally thinking that he's the best player in the world. It's for one thing, he's been so injury prone over the past couple of years. And I just to kick 12 is not, I don't think, gonna happen to Sam Darcy this year. I'll be honest. I don't think he will do it in his career. He'll kick 12 in a game. Oh, that's a Jack big call. That's Jack's big call for 2026. He won't kick 12 in a game in his career, but I don't think he'll do it this year either.
Well, they did bring up the fact that Jeremy Cameron's 11-goal haul in round 21 of last year was the most goals kicked in an individual game in the last decade.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they do play West Coast. There's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you say you hate that call.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next one. So Arden Street will have a shake-up. With another tough season unfolding, North Melbourne will make major changes to its football department structure to fast-track a rebuild before round 24 of this year. Do you rate it or hate it?
Nah, I rate it. I think that I do rate it because I don't think North Melbourne's going up very far.
Yeah,
I don't. Like a lot of teams, like it's gonna have to change. Well, it's gonna have to now.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since their last finals appearance in 2016. I think it was their last finals appearance.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago, and they
Yeah.
didn't really make an impact in finals for a very long time either.
So I rate it that if it doesn't happen this year, we'll be done before round 24.
The twilight shift. The AFL will finally make the inevitable change of the grand final to a permanent twilight spot.
Yeah, I think they will. I'll rate it. I reckon they'll do it. I think.
Do you want that though?
I don't think it needs to, but
I personally like the idea of a day grand final.
Yeah, I think because every other sport in the world, basically, a lot of sports have their grand final, playoff final, whatever, in the nighttime twilight. It's like we don't need to be like everybody else.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the time we can stick with tradition. I know a lot of the time, probably if you guys have listened to the podcast in the past, a lot of the time I'm pretty happy with like innovation and we don't have to stick to tradition. But I think with the grand final, the reason why the day grand final works so well is we start the game at 2:50 and then the game finishes at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then people go out on if their team won or their team lost, they go out and celebrate, or they drown their sorrows in a bunch of piss. But I think that's good for the game. Like you think about waiting all day for the game to come up, and the game starts at like NRL I think starts at 6 or 7 p.m. And it's like you got to wait all that time of the day just to wait for the game. And then, especially with the AFL, the game's gone by half time.
Yeah.
So I personally like the day grand final, but I do think it's probably not going to be long before we have a twilight grand final.
I think it will be this year, but yeah.
You think it's all right?
Yeah.
This is not a big call, Kane. But anyway, he says mark it down. St Kilda will. Oh, actually, sorry. This is a big call, but I thought he made it about Nasiah. He said St Kilda will finish higher than Collingwood on the ladder for the first time in half a decade.
Nah, I rate it.
You rate it?
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
You think St Kilda will finish higher than Collingwood?
I think they only have to get a few injuries, Collingwood, to some key players. And sure, it's sometimes not really it's kind of has to happen, doesn't it? They've went and bought all these players. St Kilda, Collingwood are just aging and not really bringing in anybody, and they're trying to develop these rookies. I don't see them being able to stand up, and if a few of the Collingwood experienced players go down, I don't see them being able to be carried by them.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it has to happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that St Kilda probably should be jumping Collingwood this year, I think. But it'd be interesting to see if St Kilda actually do rise or if they're a team that just stagnate again. Horse to Hobart. John Longmire's retirement from Sydney was the perfect tactical recharge for the league's biggest challenge. He'll be officially unveiled as Tasmania's inaugural coach before the season is out. Rate it or hate it?
Nah, I hate it. I don't think he's going to be. I still think it's Buckley.
I think it's Nathan Buckley.
I think it is. I think Brendan Gale wants it to be, and I think they'll give it to him.
I think the reason why he went to Geelong is to just refresh himself on the coaching of the AFL with Chris Scott for half a year or a year, and then he'll take over the role. I think that's what they're doing. I would be very surprised if John Longmire is the first coach. Do you think Ken Hinkley's a chance, or if you had to pick between
those three,
what would you rank as like the most probable first coach?
Yeah, I probably would go Buckley, Hinkley, Longmire.
I kind of agree. And we'll get to another one here. The Wizards doubles. Nick Watson is about to do something rarely seen. He won't only win the goal of the year, but he's going to claim mark of the year.
Hate it.
He's taken 2 good marks in his career. Both of them have been in preseason.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The one thing he's great at doing though is that when it's a big game, he disappears.
Yeah,
that's his best trick.
Well, I mean, he could do. He could get the goal of the year against North Melbourne.
Yeah, well, he could do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
you don't normally see it. It's very rare that.
I don't think anyone's done it.
No, I don't think anyone's actually done it in the same year.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, I guess it's hard to do. A lot of the time, it is a defender who gets that mark too. Or some, I mean, most, actually, no, you're right. It's probably more forward, but I guess you kind of think of like, I don't think it's ever happened that you won both.
No, and he's only in his third year this year.
Second?
No, it's his third because he played
No, it's his second. No,
it
it's
is
his third.
It is his third. Yeah, but it's a lot of hype to put on a kid that's only his third year.
Yeah.
Really, like I don't think he's gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean,
It's probably his worst. I think it's his worst call that Kane's made for that segment. I think that was his worst call. I think that's his worst call.
Okay, I think it was probably the Sam Darcy one, but anyway. And finally, the stand rule will be removed. It's become a farcical game of Simon Says and gets more embarrassing by the year. By mid-season, the AFL will admit the experiment has finally failed and will finally scrap the rule.
Yes, I rate it. It needs to go. It's one of the most stupidest rules. And I think with this new rule interpretation of whatever it is, from what I've heard, is that even all the players and coaches don't understand it. So the first 3 or 4 weeks of all these new rules, I think that one's going to be the most scrutinised one.
Do you think it gets scrapped by mid-season, or do you think they wait till the end of the year?
No, what they'll do is they'll be like how they did a couple of years ago, and they went hard on a rule. What I think it was the Holden. Was it the Holden? No, it was the undisciplinary rule.
You back chat to an umpire or whatever.
Yeah, and how badly that was, and they're like, we're just going to hold back on it a bit, and that's what they'll do. And then at the end of the season, they'll get rid of it.
I think that the big thing I hate with the stand rule is it's not really a stand rule. It's like a hover rule. Like you stand. How many times do the umpires tell the players to stand? It's very rare around the ground. Most of the time, it's like stand back 5, whatever it is.
Couple more meters back.
Yeah, stand back 5 meters, outside 5. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's more just hovering around the mark. It's like you either the players stand on the mark or you say you're not going anywhere near it, and then that's what I hate about it. I think it's a really crap rule. And I think a lot of the time people overreact about the rule changes in the AFL. Like we see them every couple of years or every year. And then we're like, oh, this is going to be shit. This is going to ruin the game. And then most of the time it's like we overreact, and then eventually it's like a positive for the game. But this rule has been such an issue, and it's such a huge penalty because half the time the umpires either don't pay it, or their interpretation of it is wrong, or they're telling players to, who come up to the mark, and they're like, no, you got to stand back 5, or the umpire's screaming like 7 times stand, and the players continue to move, and the umpire's like, oh, we'll just give them some leeway.
Yeah, then they start playing, the person with the ball starts playing on, and then they're like, oh, well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like oh, whatever, who gives a fuck?
It's like, well, for one thing, we always know that since the rule came in, that Kane's been one of those people that's absolutely hated it to begin with, and I think the new interpretation is going to make it even more of a thing that Kane's going to bring up every week. To get rid of it. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all we have for the footy segment or footy part of this episode. As we get into the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking a little bit more about the match simulations and the pre-season games coming up. As you can see on screen as well, we do have our links to both our AFL Fantasy League and our AFL tipping competition. So you make sure to join them right now. Our head-to-head league filled up so quickly. We already got the 16 people in there. AFL Fantasy's quickly just put us against all those people already. So I think most of the people who are in that are actually from the podcast. So we really appreciate you guys joining up. And the AFL tipping comp as well is open now. So make sure to join up. And so that's pretty much all the footy stuff for this episode. We'll move on to a bit of Premier League and soccer. And over the weekend, we saw Liverpool. Who did Liverpool lose to this week? I think they beat someone. I was going to say they lost to someone, but I think they won in the FA Cup against some loser team or something.
I can't even remember who Liverpool played in the weekend. Fuck, it was really bad.
Chelsea beat Hull in was it the FA Cup or was it?
Yeah, the FA Cup. They're all FA Cup this week.
Yeah, the FA Cup. Yeah, Chelsea won 4-0 against Hull City. I mean, whoop-de-doo, really. But I mean, good win. We take it. Just looking at the moment to try and find who the Liverpool played, but I swear they played someone. They played someone shit. I can't remember who it was. I did see, though, that Chelsea drew Wrexham in the second round, which is good to see. In the 5th round, we play Wrexham, so that's going to be a good battle, I think.
Still just played somebody else.
No, we play Wrexham next.
Ah.
So Liverpool beat Brighton 3-0. That's what happened. Oh. So Liverpool actually won, which is a miracle. Salah scored to get back on the winners list, but yeah, not a lot to talk about there. I did want to quickly take a look at the Champions League from today because there was a few results coming through. This is the first leg of their 2 games, and Galatasaray were able to win 5-2 against Juventus. PSG snuck over the line against Monaco 3-2. Benfica went down 1-0 to Real Madrid, and Borussia Dortmund beat Atalanta 2-0. Now, there are a couple of games tomorrow. You got Newcastle up against Qarabag. Bodo Glimt play Inter Milan, a team that's done really well so far in this Champions League run. Club Brugge play Atletico Madrid, and Olympiacos play Bayer Leverkusen. So I believe this is across 2 legs, but it is good for both of those teams. Galatasaray especially, a 3-goal advantage going into the next leg is massive for them. Yeah. Juventus also lost a player with 3 goals, with a red card, and so did Monaco. So I think that's going to be an interesting watch. I think if we looked at the results going into the draw, going into the next leg, apparently it looks like that, I have to look where we play, but I think that Liverpool will most likely play. It's either a PSG or Newcastle, I believe.
Yeah, it won't be Newcastle because they don't allow you to play
it wouldn't
the
be
same
Newcastle,
country.
would it? No. So it'd be either one of those. And the teams already qualified, obviously, were Arsenal after winning all their games, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Tottenham, who I can't believe they could be relegated and win the Champions League, Barcelona, Chelsea, Sporting, and Manchester City. Now, also, Tottenham just recently announced their new manager to take them to the end of the season after sacking Thomas Frank, which was an interesting call. I've heard some news that like this guy is basically, what he does is he comes in and just rectifies a situation of like getting a team not so much out of relegation, but gets them back in form. But then once he goes into the next year, he's usually pretty shit and they suck him. So,
well, that's just Tottenham. So he's basically just...
He's taken over. Well, he's done a lot of work in Italy. I'm trying to find his name, but I can't remember what his name was called. I mean, I don't really follow Tottenham because, I mean, I pray to the gods every day that I don't barrack for him. But Igor Tudor. So, yeah, apparently he's very good at, like, getting teams back on track after a poor, couple of months or couple of half a season. So I think that's a good appointment from what I've heard, but he's not really a long-term coaching prospect. So that'll have to be a wait and see. I'm still surprised. They should. Did you see Ange Postecoglou throughout the week say that Tottenham isn't a big club? He's like, they're not a big club, mate. They're shit.
I think listening to that podcast, it was really funny. One of the guys was talking about like the managers that have come through Tottenham and who they've managed, and he just says at the end of it, he's like, I'm the only one who's won anything.
Some Aussie guy just fucking won the whole thing, cunt. You've had fucking Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, who's the other one? Mauricio Pochettino. They've had these like really big managers, and Ange Postecoglou is the one who won him a fucking trophy. So yeah, I think that's funny. And then they got rid of him. I mean, I understand why they did get rid of him. Like they were playing poorly in the league, but they still won a Europa League title. Like that's no one else was able to do that with them.
Yeah.
Now, finally, before we end today's episode, I want to take a look at the championship because, of course, it's a pretty tight battle at the moment for the promoted sides. Now, Coventry currently lead, but they've had a pretty poor run of form in the last 5 to 6 weeks. That's, of course, Frank Lampard's team. He's currently managing them. Middlesbrough, who's the team that I want to see get up there because they've got a couple of Aussies, Riley McGree being the top one. I want to kind of see them get promoted. They're in second spot. Millwall have jumped up the table in recent times, jumping into third. That's Tim Cahill's old team. Ipswich Town are pretty much the only team who could really go back into the Premier League after being relegated last season. They're sitting in fourth. Hull City are in fifth. Derby are in sixth. And then Wrexham, the Hollywood FC, of course, Ryan Reynolds' team, and Rob Michaelini, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I don't.
No one knows who he is.
I don't really remember the other one.
They recently drew Chelsea in the FA Cup next week, but I'd like to see Wrexham jump up again. But that would be a triple promotion if they're able to do that. That would be massive.
Yeah, I'd like to see it because in that such a big Premier League, it's someone as like high profile as they are with all the documentaries and all that sort of shit. To be in the Premier League would be just like such a huge feat for them. And
yeah, they went from the National League to the League 2, League 1. Now they're in the Championship. They win. They go through again. They get to the Premier League in I think it's 5 or 6 years. Yeah, it'd be massive if they did. A couple of teams still, so they're just outside the playoff spots at the moment. And I did hear some news as well. I think I sent you this that the Championship potentially will move to opening up 2 more slots for playoffs. So that potentially means that there's still, I think it's still only going to be 3 teams up and then 3 teams relegated from the Premier League. But it does open up 2 more spots, which I don't know. I mean, traditionally, I think they've had the 6 teams. The 4 teams go in the playoff spots. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, it opens up more avenues, and I think if you link it back to the AFL, it just adds more theatre, and that's why they did the wild card for the AFL. They want to just add more.
Yeah, I think because they always say like the championship playoff finals, the big prize money in world sport.
Yeah, it's the most expensive match of all time.
So why wouldn't you put in an extra 2 teams and
it just gives like more teams a reason to like keep on fighting. Yeah. Like the middle of the table in like the championship for towards the last 6 or 7 games, which is getting close to now, kind of mean nothing for a lot of teams. But if you open up 2 more spots, then potentially you get a chance. Like right now, Wrexham, Preston, Bristol, Southampton, so maybe this season's a little bit different. Birmingham, Watford, QPR, Stoke, Sheffield United, and Swansea City. There's 6 points between those guys and Derby County. Yeah, so they're all fighting for that 6 spots. There's a lot of people still fighting for 1 spot at the moment. So I mean, it does open up a real opportunity for those teams to like potentially get into a Premier League spot from out of nowhere. Because I think Luton, when they made it a couple of years ago into the Premier League, they made it from was it 6th spot or 5th spot?
Yeah, it was one of the bottom ones.
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
I think they made it all the way to the Premier League from there. Now, obviously, they got double relegated. Now I think they're in League One, Luton Town. But anyway, now looking at the relegation battle, Leicester City with their points deduction, they're sitting in the relegation zone. Jamie Vardy leaves them, and now he's left them potentially back in League One. So he's playing in Italy at the moment. So they did get a 6-point deduction, and they're sitting in the 22nd spot, which is the first spot for relegated sides. They are 2 points away from West Brom, who are in 21st, 3 points away from Blackburn, who are in 20th, and 4 points away from Portsmouth, who are in 19th. No way. The team won a Premier League title 10 years ago, and they could be sitting in League One. I know it's Leicester, and it's like it was unbelievable when they won the Premier League, but could you imagine that they fucking dropped to League One 10 years later? Yeah. That would be embarrassing.
Like, if you told me that they'd win the Premier League in 2016, and 10 years later they'd be relegated to the 3rd tier of English football, I don't think you could imagine, really. Like, that's just, it's such a, from hitting that such a high to basically a new low.
Yeah, it'd be a massive loss for him. Now, I didn't notice this until recent times, but when I've been looking at like the ladders and stuff, Sheffield Wednesday got an 18 point deduction back at I don't know when it was.
I think
it was
like early in the year.
Yeah, it would have been early in the season. They've only got 11 points the whole season. They currently sit with -7 on the table. So they just basically gave up. They were like, fuck this. We're just going to go down.
What's the point? You're basically 6 games behind before you start.
Yeah, exactly. And
I know they get a few extra games, but yeah.
And I mean, they're really not trying. I mean, the worst goal difference before them is Oxford United with -16. They're on -45. They are literally not trying.
They literally just
it's an easy 3 points. They've won 1 game so far, 8 draws. And I mean, what's even the point? How many goals have they got? 19 goals. That's terrible.
Well, you might as well not. Well, no offense to them, but get relegated this year. Next season, you try and you go back up.
You try. Rest up for next year, boys.
Yeah.
This is like just tanking at the right. They're just tanking with the 11 points. Yeah, but I mean, at the moment, Coventry and Middlesbrough look likely to go up. Millwall don't have a very good goal difference. They've only got 4+, when Ipswich sit just behind them with 22 goal difference. So, yeah, Ipswich are fighting for that 3rd spot, maybe 2nd at the moment. But those two look pretty comfortable going straight into the Prem. There's a lot of teams fighting for those last 4 spots though, and that 6th spot is held by a thread by Derby County. So it's going to be a very interesting watch on the championship side of things. I think Premier League football returns this weekend, which will be good. And then, as you guys are listening to this on Thursday, we have a couple more Champions League games to watch, and also Arsenal play Wolverhampton. Which will be a game not worthy of watching.
The most memorable game of the season, that way.
Yeah, that'll be the most memorable game of the campaign. One last thing before we go, though. Arsenal dropped a couple of points last week, I think it was. They currently sit in top spot still, but only have a couple of point advantage over Manchester City. There's 4 points at the moment.
They're coming.
It's over. Arsenal are going to choke again. They're going to hold on to that Premier League title of 2nd for the 4th year.
How many games are there?
There's 12 more games. There's heaps of time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Plenty of time to drop the bundle. I mean, at this point, they're going to drop out of the fucking Champions League spots. It's going to be embarrassing. I mean, I don't want City to win, but it would be funny.
It would be funny from a Liverpool supporter who's choked before.
It's funny if someone else does it.
Yeah, it's funny when someone else does it because you don't want to choke especially when it's the last. I still remember choking it on the last game of the season.
What, Steven Gerrard or?
Oh, that one.
No, you went in 2021.
That was a couple of games before the season.
Yeah,
but yeah, when 2021 you
didn't really choke it though. City had the lead, and then you just couldn't win it.
Yeah, it was the fact that we had so many points and we had over 100 points and we still couldn't win the title. Yeah, that was the thing. In any other year of the Premier League or any other game in English football, you win that title every year. Yeah, and we still couldn't do it.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's pretty much all we have for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe over on YouTube. And if you did listen over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and make sure to follow so you are notified on the podcast every single week. But again, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.